So now that we're back kicking this off, figured this would be a great video. Mission dictates gear. Terrain dictates gear. What does that mean? Why are we left with no context of what that means? Well, today you're going to learn. Today we're going to learn what gear dictates what, when, where, and why. What's going on, people? The real ghost here. A lot of gear I've accumulated in the past couple of years, all for different mission sets, all for different terrains, all for different purposes. And there's going to be some gear I'm going to show you today for different mission sets that you probably didn't even think about. But let's get to it. I don't want to sit here with a rant and a lecture. Mission dictates gear. What is the gear that I have? What is the gear doing for me? First, I want to get into my EDC rig. Why is my EDC rig important? Because what is the mission? It's not necessarily always for personal protection. Maybe you're doing a reconnaissance covertly. You're going to want a weapon. You're going to want to dress in plain clothes. Definitely not in this. So let's get to that. You're definitely going to want to be a ghost, but not with this mask. So, simple SIG P365 X macro and a blue alpha gear belt, and then whatever blends in the general population of the area. Whether it be self-defense and you're just out and about, out with the wife, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, whichever way you go, gotta protect yourself. The last thing you wanna be wearing when you're out protecting yourself is stuff like this. Stuff with American flags and Mali backpacks written all over you. Now, Massad Ayoob will disagree with this, as he says that he's heard the myth that you are the first target for any mass shooter, any adversary, and I disagree with him. I think you are the first target. So what do I do when I go out? T-shirt and basketball shorts. Yes, I wear a belt around my waist in basketball shorts. And carry a nice little piece with 17 rounds, with 2 more magazines loaded in the car if I had to retreat back. But this would be good for covert reconnaissance as well. That's mission 1. Let's talk about mission 2. Now this mission is going to have a specific weapon in my opinion. Others may differ. This is going to be more urban CQB oriented. And the weapon of choice, of course, is going to dictate that, right? If I'm going to be doing a mission in a more CQB urban environment type area, doing MOUT, which is military operations in urban terrain, I'm going to want a rifle that's more capable of that than of a longer rifle. So my weapon of choice is the Mark 18 Mod 1. Now, why a Mark 18? Why not just a regular 10.5? Why not a 7.5 with a 300 blackout? I don't like 300 blackout, I don't care. I've never fell into 300 blackout and I probably never will for a long time. 5.56 is more abundant and cheaper, at least cheaper than 300 blackout, not cheaper than how it was a few years ago. But I love the Mark 18. I love quad rails. They're definitely very robust, is the word I like to use. Definitely got an aiming laser on here, Surefire. Exterior and Vampire. I'm sorry, this is an Arisaka with the Surefire Vampire head on it. EOTech with a magnifier. This is good for PID. Magnifiers are great. I think everyone should have one if you have a red dot. Because the best part about magnifiers is if you don't want them, you can just take them off. It's that easy. You can just put them right back on when you need them again. Everyone should get a magnifier. And I love risers. You don't like risers? Oh well. The Mark 18, because it can go short. It's easy to manipulate in and around hallways, inside rooms, buildings, get in and out of vehicles with. 10.5 is not bad, guys. And anyone on the internet who has ever said your 10.5 won't kill anyone past 50 yards. I've shot people at 300 yards with a Mark 18 and they fucking died. So whoever says that needs to stop going to AR15.com and reading those stupid articles from guys who never leave their basement who are cloners. Yes, I've cloned a Mark 18, but that's because I've used one in combat. It will kill out to 300 meters. I promise you that. So a more CQB driven gun needs a more CQB driven kit. And what would that be? Fellas, if I'm rolling into a CQB environment, a lot of close quarter action, I'm going to want a plate carrier, and that's the Crye JPC. That's my plate carrier of choice. And you're going to hear a lot that a plate carrier should be one of the very first pieces of kit you get outside of the weapon systems. So, basic setup, ATAC, 3 magazines, 2 more on the Cumberbund and a Blue Force Gear 10 speed, right here. And on the other side, you run a tourniquet and a radio pouch with a rerouting cable for my antenna, a little assaulter's pack. You could put some small things in there, hydration pack. It's going to be a little longer than you expect. You need some water. Put some things in it, breach charges, SSC bags for sensitive site exploitation, other things of that nature. But what I like to go along with the plate carrier is a belt. This is my Blue Alpha gear, and we call these our first lines for a reason, because this entire belt can make me accomplish a mission just by itself. The plate carrier is just a force multiplier with armor, protection, more magazines, extra medical stuff like an extra tourniquet, etc. The belt, this one in particular, has the D-ring if I ever had to hinge into a helicopter. Don't think I'll be doing that as a civilian unless I meet someone with a helicopter. Carries some more magazines for the Glock, another 30-round magazine, my IFAK, which is a LBT blowout pack. These are one of my favorite, in my opinion, and a dump pouch. Now, dump pouches these days, in my opinion, I feel like aren't being used for dumping mags anymore. I think they're just being used as foldable general purpose pouches. You could put anything in them, like water bottles, anything. You could put anything in them now. And lastly, it's gonna lead me to my dome piece, my helmet. Yes, it's a Hard-Headed Veterans. And no, I'm not sponsored by them. Nor will I ever be. I don't want sponsorships. I like this helmet. It does work. We've bought one because they were so cheap that we all chipped in for one, and we actually shot it up, and it was very, very, very impressive. Again, not plugging for them. I'm not sponsored by them or have any relationship with them. These are rocking the old MSA Swordens as my comm device. These are about 10 years old. I had these while I was in Afghanistan, and I still have them today. I have a little light on here for when conducting SSC, or simply if someone's just in front of me and is giving me trouble. You shine that in their face without shining a weapon in their face. Sometimes a light is a lot friendlier than a weapon. And signal identifiers. On the back I have a red and a blue. Maybe one day we can go into what these can mean. And of course we got a Hellstar strobe that is white light and IR. Again, helmets being false multipliers on its own. Helmets are great. I've seen them actually stop rifle rounds at distances. But if you're gonna do CQB thinking your helmet's gonna protect you from rifle rounds, might as well not even go in with a helmet at all. It's supposed to protect you from shrapnel, some handgun rounds, but rifle rounds, especially in CQB, I wouldn't count on it. That's my helmet setup, very simple. I wouldn't say it's simple, it's pretty rigged out to the max as I would put it. Not pictured as my nods. Don't use a battery pack, but I could put extra batteries in here, which is pretty dope. The next thing I want to talk about is garments. Garments is something I feel like no one ever talks about. What am I wearing right now? I'm wearing a PCU level 5 jacket. This is going to be great for the chilly springtime, the chilly fall time, even up in the winter if you've got some layers on. These PCU level 5s, this is the Gen 2. These are probably the best jackets ever. Patagonia, you killed it. Sucks you're a very leftist company. But anyway, we also have the Crye combat shirts. This is one of my favorite garments to wear into combat, period, even if it's a little chilly outside, because if you've ever been into a firefight, that adrenaline is going to go up, you're going to start sweating, and it's not fun. I promise you that. So if you go in and it's 10 degrees outside and you puffed yourself up because you're cold and you start getting shot at, your body temperature is going up 30 degrees, buddy. So I liked wearing these. Even wore these in the February months of Afghanistan. As a matter of fact, this very one that I'm holding right now. Yeah, they're a little on the expensive side, and I can see why, because this thing's 10 years old. I wore this on every combat operation in Afghanistan, and it still looks brand new. I know why they're expensive now. If you want to get an airsoft one, go ahead. I don't condone it, but if you want to, go ahead. If they rip, well, now you know why these are expensive. And again, if I'm working in more urban terrain, and CQB and mount, let's learn that CQB and mount are two different things. If I'm fighting in and around structures, that is mount. Military operations in urban terrain. CQB is when you are fighting inside the structure. Others may differ on that, but US Army doctrine says otherwise. So when I'm fighting in mount, and there's the possibility of rain, I will wear the PCU level 5 jacket. It is not a water resistant jacket, and it's not that good against rain. But if I have structures to get inside of, I can be dry. And it's a good jacket. Because here's the issue with jackets that are waterproof jackets. I'll show you that. So this is a Columbia. You can get these on Amazon now for like 20 bucks, or at least at the time when I bought this. And when this says this is waterproof, that's not a lie. This is waterproof. It's so waterproof that it stops so much water from coming into the jacket. It will also stop water from coming out of the jacket, i.e. your sweat. So when you're wearing even light garments like that, as waterproof jackets, it's not just stopping water from coming in, but it's stopping the water from going out. Because this jacket right now, I'm really hot in it, but that moisture is wicking out of this jacket. So when it comes to jackets, and it's hot, and it's wet, and you're gonna sweat a lot, keep that in mind with the garments that you're gonna wear, because you're gonna wanna breathe. You're gonna wanna be cool, because being a heat casualty is not fun. My army buddies who served, you know what happens when you become a heat casualty. You get the silver bullet. Drop a comment down below if you know what the silver bullet is. So we just went over covert operations. We just went over self-defense operations. We just went over CQB, urban terrain operations. What could possibly be missing? Reconnaissance, patrolling. And that is where this puppy comes in. Now, it took me a long time to figure out what was going to be the best chest rig for me. Now, this is the best chest rig for me. If you feel like you need more, you buy one that has more. If you feel like you need less, those Haley Strategic Micro chest rigs, I believe T-Rex Arms makes one, you go for those. But if I'm wearing a chest rig, I'm wearing a chest rig. I'm carrying what I can. The Velocity Systems UW Gen 4, I believe it is by far one of the best chest rigs I have ever had in my entire life. The US Army TAPS system ain't got shit on this. Looks very similar to it, acts very similar to it, but this is what the US Army TAPS system should have been. And the best part about the UW Gen 4 from Velocity Systems is the clip system, so you can put them on those plate carriers. They got that new Swift clip system. You know what I'm talking about. I haven't bought into that. I'm still old school with that kind of stuff. So, but if you buy a UW and you have a plate carrier like that, you can attach your UW to it. I believe Velocity Systems used to be called Mayflower, which was a very popular company back in the day, about 15 years ago. So what is it carrying? Right here, it's got 4 M4 mag pouches. And these are specifically loaded up with 68 grain boat tail Hollow Point match ammunition. Why? Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. And then the best part is it has all these pouches all over it that can put whatever you want in them. Maybe you want to put more M4 mag pouches in here, if that floats your boat. You can put pistol mag pouches in here, as I have on this one. It even has more pistol mag pouches, or where you could put a Gerber or a multi-tool. You could put a Harris 152 radio Nero, an MPU-5 if you got $8 grand. You could put a radio in one pouch, IFAK in the other pouch. I like this one because with this one, I probably wouldn't be taking my ATAC with me, so I need another digital form of navigation, so I have my Garmin 601 mounted up on here. Now, why would I take a chest rig over body armor if I'm patrolling or if I'm doing a reconnaissance? You're most likely going to be carrying items like this. Now, this is a tactical tailor bag. This is like a 1 to 2 day pack. I've actually stretched this pack out to 3 days. It's basic backpack size. Actually, what I really like about this one, if tactical tailor's still around, I have to check that at the time of making this video, is the inside is a VS-17 panel. It's a signal to any air if you need help, rescue, whatever. So you can be used as an identifier, signal marker. That's what sold me on this bad boy, and guess what? This bad boy saw Afghanistan also. That's how long I've had this. It's seen a lot of use even after that. Many JRTC rotations, many training exercises, and this thing's still good as new. That's what you get when you pay for quality gear. Don't buy cheap airsoft stuff on Amazon when it comes to gear, guys. I'm being serious. I seriously don't. But there are companies that make decent stuff at a decent price too, like LBX. I like LBX. probably one of my favorite companies out there right now with more affordable budget gear, which is LBT, but made in Taiwan, I believe, or Vietnam, one of those countries. It's not China. Thank God it's not China. But if you're carrying a bag like this, you're probably gonna have a lot of stuff in it for sustainment. You're probably going to have maybe a mini tent, or you're gonna have a lot more water than you would in an assaulter's rig, or you're going to have food, MREs, sustainment, sleeping bags. You're going to have a lot of stuff in here, and probably won't even be carrying a pack this small. You'll probably be carrying one 3 times as large. And on top of that, wearing body armor. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think the weight of body armor is necessary if I'm making long movements out through the woods, and luckily I live in a very flat area of the United States, so I don't have to worry about mountains. Thank God. But the weight savings of body armor to me, may not be to you, but to me is worth it by going with a chest rig for long movements. And I'm talking 10, 15, 20 miles on foot. I would rather take a chest rig than a plate carrier. I'm not walking with all that weight, that's only protection. If I'm doing a patrol on foot, I probably can't get into the area with a vehicle, which is why I have to go on foot. I'm trying to keep my signature low. I don't want people to know I'm coming in. I don't want people to know I'm there. So with having a chest rig, with it being a little bit more minimal than it is with a plate carrier, with it having a little bit more extra added to it, I'm not trying to get into a fight. Maybe I'm trying to do a reconnaissance. A reconnaissance is not getting into a fight, unless you're doing a recon by fire, of course, which is a lot of fun. If you've ever been in one. It's kind of an oxymoron when I first heard that. That was a real thing, recon by fire. Very interesting. But I would take a different rifle with me, and what would that be? My 14.5 Geissele. So it's a longer barrel, which is shooting 68 grain boat tail hollow points, the same ammunition that was loaded up in the chest rig, and it has a 1:6 LPVO on it with a offset red dot on top. We have some night vision capabilities with a D-Ball I2, and we also have bright light capability as well. This rifle is actually lighter than the Mark 18. It uses the Faxon gunner barrel, where it's actually quite of a thin profile, but it's thick at the start and tapers off at the end. It's actually thick where it matters, and thin where it doesn't matter. If you know anything about barrel harmonics, we'll do a video on barrel harmonics one day. If ballistics is something you guys are interested in, which you should be, know how your bullets fly through the air. So with this gun, I can reach out a little bit further than the Mark 18 because I'm moving on foot, so I would think that my engagements are going to be a lot further away. Correct? With the 1:6 LPVO, I could probably see targets a lot further away. Correct? And using 68 grain bow tail hollow points and a 1-in-8 twist barrel, probably a good match for some pretty decent accuracy. Again, 4 mags plus 1 in the gun does not beat the 7 plus 1 in the gun mags of the plate carrier. But again, when you are doing a reconnaissance, you are trying to avoid contact at all cost. Again, mission dictates gear. So I am not trying to get into a fight, but if I were to get into a fight, I have the means to get myself out of there. Obviously, I don't have enough to sustain myself for a fight, so I'm not trying to stay for the fight. I'm going to break contact. So I only carry enough to break contact. And a little extra, the breaking contact is going to take a little longer than I would hope it would. Now, garments I would wear on a recce. Again, PCU level 5 jacket. Given the terrain and the area of the world that I live in, it gets very humid. We have raining seasons. We get rain like no tomorrow. So this is where this comes in. Again, the Columbia rain jacket that I was talking about. Now, because you have packs that you can just take on and off, if it's dry, no need for it, especially if it's hot. If it's wet and a little cold, you definitely will have a need for it. Maybe we can go into garments in another video because garments are very important, as I've learned that one the hard way. And some of you who don't take my advice might have to learn it the hard way too. So mission dictates gear, not METTC. Mission is the first line in METTC. Mission, enemy, terrain, time, troops available, civilian considerations. I don't think civilian considerations is going to be whether or not I wear a plate carrier or I wear a chest rig. People really need to consult with people when they use terms they have no idea what they mean. Mission dictates gear. So when you think you got your plate carrier, you got your helmet, you got your belt, you think you're good to go, you're ready to fight a war. Sorry, buddy. You're not. Well, maybe, for the most part. If you live in Manhattan, you're probably good to go. But if you live in an area like I do, where it can be completely wide open and all nature, and then suddenly it's all urban and buildings everywhere, you're gonna want a little bit of both. Because your mission is going to dictate your gear. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope this gives you a general idea of where to start looking if you're still in the market for buying more gear. Maybe you're looking at too much gear, or maybe you're not looking at enough gear. But always remember, guys, ghosts are real.